some of your love. Some people say they want this and that. They're breaking all the law. The law you really breaking the law, but you want to go up. You know why people want to go up? Because they want to increase the time. But what will tell people is not happening and it will never happen. The only thing they are there for, when last people were there for me, we implore people are happy. Because it is a time to be happy. It is nobody's time when the country is not better. It is everybody's time when the country is better. Freedom better you raping now. Freedom better you killing now. Freedom better you destroy now. You people are out of vision for sacrifice. Educated people. It's about education. It's about how well you come. They are people that can hear you and you are our packages will come to power. In every country, at least 2 million and 3 hour packages, split them around and get when they were coming, they said they were liberators. When they were coming, they said they were liberators. But when they came,
thank you so much.
My friend, you made mistake. I heard you last night. Me and Kun indeed move Papa. Absolutely, after the whole election, I feel my corner. If you demonstrate emotionally, you will conclude that I'm right. Will you rescue as a legislature after winning? The broadcast are looking at answer my phone. You don't keep me up. You don't let me down. They even have time. Oh, I don't talk. Yeah, I don't talk because God knows why it's happening. And everything I will accept it because our son who is back president to him from Nima, the Nima will not understand if I start hating on worker. They started a type of worker. When we are road, they started to complain of the funding and the tax the Supreme Court doing for the amnesty law, everything. And the position statement for those commissioners who is better than budget is here. And then the way forward is a power discussion for peace. Then when Boyka come down, the ABC by coming there, the Dillon there, Lumbi there, and you know where you just take it off away better. You want to go after people? When they were coming, they said they were liberators. You know, the PDP control the lower in the upper. So they went talking away, talking about the but I think what kind of people they so? Because of money problem. Yeah. What kind of people they so? You freedom fighter, you raping our something happened. Freedom fighter, you killing our almost trying to Gombe house. Freedom fighter, you destroying our country. They didn't tell me they had it for me. Then when I heard what was happening, I was being Jim Money. But when I went to Kun, you were there when we had people, and you were there with our and we sent the report with all the documents, legal documents, to God here. Then what I benefited from the 2010 decision by the Supreme Court to be involved in the 2011. You're right. The after telling about my prayer, we finish the people out of the woman, and one person to do without trying to do. So what is going on with the court? And going there, what I will do for you, help you with my help, that might have been good for you. I was from two office, my own son office, I went, so I was freedom fighter, you raping I'm not saying that why you're doing it. You know what I told you? Freedom fighter, you killing our children. Freedom fighter, you destroying our country. Ayo.
Oh yes, indeed. What a great day. What a wonderful opportunity it feels. And a pleasant good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Liberia. Good morning. Just wherever you are this morning on our voice. A pleasant way we'd like to welcome all of you to yet another exciting conversation about the issues that matter most to Liberia's growth and development. This is the People's Radio. And of course, this is the nation's premier breakfast conversation. The Freedom Morning Rise on Freedom 87.9, where we discuss the issues that matter to Liberia without fear nor favor. We speak truth to power. And yes, indeed. This is exactly what we love to do best. This is what we know how to do. But we are back after yesterday's disappointment. But it was a good thing. You never get disappointed whenever it has got to do with nature. God has his own way of taking his decision and deciding what happens. But yes, we are back. I could understand the jubilation and the excitement that was there with with the plunderers as they were excited to why we wearing on. But of course, we're going to be here today, and we are continue from exactly where we start. Too many things to talk about. Lots of things happening in Liberia. This morning, we are going to spend time looking back on some key aspects of the Vice President's interview on ERBC States Radio. It is important for us to look at it. There were some policy contradictions with what we know to be government policy position, president policy position. Why are there too many contradictions between official position of the president and the government and that of the vice president? Oh yes, probably you did not notice that, but we did, because we were having technical listening in on the vice president's appearance, and that is quite important. The government that's not working consistently will absolutely deliver nothing. We have to see the consistency in policy from the top to the bottom. But when the president holds a particular view, a public view about certain policies in this direction, and then the vice president speaks completely contrary to that, it signals something. It signals a lot of things. Oh yes, indeed. A technical review of the vice president presentation signals very troubling realities. Of course, take off your partisan jackets, your partisan cap. Listen to Jeremiah Kuhn. Listen and re-listen. And imagine that is the vice president of our country. It was so disastrous, disappointing, and of course, eye-opening for the most part. For those that are well-meaning, it means well and understand exactly what it is. Go back and listen and do comparative analysis on the various subjects. But today, this morning, right here on this dial, we will be looking deep into key aspects. The remarks on concession, remarks on the economy, remarks on the Guinea border situation. These are quite fascinating discrepancies, and of course, that we believe needs to be elevated to help the vice president understand, first and foremost, that to be the vice president of the country, you have to be up there. Oh yes, indeed. And on the flip side of things, folks, this morning we are going to go into a look at efforts to ensure accountability on the wanton abuse of human rights, especially human rights abuses meted against poor and innocent citizens by those that are clothed with the authority to provide security and protection for them. The Liberia National Police, the Secretary General of the Congress for Democratic Change, Liberia foremost firebrand opposition political institution, has remained consistent in documenting, communicating the excesses of the Liberia National Police under the leadership of Gregory Coleman, and of course, Jefferson Tambakoji. Kampala is counting disturbing peace on the heinous crimes believed to be committed under the watch of Gregory O.W. Coleman, the Inspector General of the Liberia National Police. And Gregory has been getting real heat from all of what Koji has been doing. And the police was forced to respond, and Koji fired back. Oh yes, it's getting interesting. You can imagine why Gregory responded. Things are tough. Oh yes, these conversations are making sense. You had the opportunity to run a very professional, civilized police organization. You choose a path of partisanship, partisan loyalty, manipulated the state police. Today, you've been called out. So we look there, we read for you and bring it up for you. And every citizen has got to get involved. Everybody have got to get involved in documenting and communicating the excesses, the crimes and violations that the police have been carrying out. Never get tired of it. Gregory must go to justify, and he must prove the authority he has to transcend his ethical bound and begun the process of violating the rights of people, opening live bullets on unarmed citizens. Whatever a man does lives after him. Folks, the shipping size of the conversation for you this morning, two critical issues, two major issues. Oh yeah, we are still also following development with the office established for the creation of the War and Economic Crimes Code and the war of wars between the office and some senior members of the executive with sweeping allegations directed at the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Justice, the legal advisor, the security advisor, and all of them is a sweeping wave of allegation back and forth. My name is Abu, and it's good to be here. Yesterday was a sad moment, but yes, we are back to make it up. So we're going to take a bath of this, and once we come back, we delve into the conversation right here, Freedom 87.9.
It's about musical. There are crimes in many places, in every community, you know, you can see. So if you see crime and put it, don't take law in your hand for the real authority. That it can't take care of it. Crime stop. Here for us, we need safety to your door. Whether you rich or you poor, if you see a human talking, I mean you check. You wait for your safety. If you see it, don't keep it. You must call to report it. Crime Stopper. The people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper. Stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper Liberia. From the center to interior. Crime Stopper. Keeping us safe, they're stopping crime for all of us. Crime Stopper. The people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper. Stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper Liberia. From the center to interior. Crime Stopper. Keeping us safe, they're stopping crime for all of us.
Crime Stopper Liberia is your community crime fighting partner. Don't take the law into your own hands. Remember, if you see a crime, report it. This is a message from your own self, Old Man Sam Cyan.
Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper Liberia. From the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, they're stopping crime for all of us. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper Liberia. From the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, they're stopping crime for all of us. Crime Stopper. The people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper Liberia. From the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, they're stopping crime for all of us.
Crime Stopper Liberia is your community crime fighting partner. Don't take the law into your own hands. Remember, if you see a crime, report it. This is a message from your own self, Old Man Sam Cyan.
Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper Liberia. From the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, they're stopping crime for all of us. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime.
Them they and then they talk, they didn't talk. They know I be waiting, I see for your heart. All the noise just they bounce from my back. Now your soft love they come on my wahala. If you know be you, who go there my side? When my head they fool you, they clear my mind. All the things where you get no be only fine. All the peace where you give me every time. Them say crazy things about you. I'ma get make them talk. But you really get to offer. No they matter, though. Cause now you they make me happy. Girl, now you they make me smile. Make me shake, baby. Shake, baby. Shake, baby. Hey, make me shake, baby. Shake, baby. Shake, baby.
This one is titled Make Them Talk. And of course, it's a special anniversary dedication to my darling wife. Yesterday was our wedding anniversary. And of course, what a beautiful thing it is. And thanks to all of you, our friends, our family, for your support, your prayer. And we dedicate this to all the sweet, happy lovers out there, the married people, though.
What you really got to offer, no they matter, cause now you they make me happy, girl, now you they make me smile, make me shake, baby, shake, baby, shake, baby, oh yeah, make me shake.
Oh yeah, love is a beautiful thing, and marriage is even a better thing. That's why you must all. And the young people would like to encourage you, be responsible, make a family. Oh yeah, when the chicken police are coming, and then you sit down with your love, you turn the drama to banter, make them talk.
What you really get to offer. No, they matter. When are you, they make
Make me
me
happy, and now you to make me smile,
make me shake.
make me shake.
Shake, shake down, make me shake.
Oh yeah,
Shake, shake.
it's not a small thing, oh. Of course, imagine chasing the record of my own big brother Windell Nimlin, and then we get our juniors coming after us. So we need to make them feel like it is a beautiful thing. It is a good thing, and of course, yes, we gotta do that. Setting the kind of more standard for each of you out there to understand that this is where you want to be, and this is the one that you can celebrate, you can brag of. This is what we are called to do, right, folks? That's exactly what it is. It's 2 minutes to 8 o'clock. Welcome to all of you, our friends, our followers, those of you joining us, those of you joining. It's a good thing. Okay, let me see what is going on here. Okay, so let's bring you a few of the comments here quickly, and then we can run through some of our issues right here on the big station, Freedom 87.9. Alaska Pay joins in, says, "Good morning, Senior Comrade Abu. I'm watching from Mount Barkley community this morning. Venetia Junior Bar from Niku Town. This is Ambassador Matus Mata David Jr. Good morning, Freedom Family. I'm watching from Chicken Soup Factory, District number 12, Montserrado County. Amar Jala Kamara says, "Good morning, Freedom Radio Liberia family, and my beloved and peace loving people of Salaye District. I'm following live from Brussels as usual. Thanks a lot. At least this time around, yeah, don't get that. We start something out anyway. Yeah, post a lot of people on there. Gadier OP says, "Good morning, Freedom Family. I'm watching from my comfort zone in Gatineausville, JJY. Oh, yeah, I'm going to play there. Otis Barkley, good morning. I'm following from Tusa Field Road, Gatineausville. Favor Morris says, "Good morning, my dear brother. Good morning, Favor. Favor, you said you're coming. We see you here. Jeremy Dwyer, watching live. Emmanuel Bro says, "Good morning, Abu and Freedom Morning Rise. I'm watching from Minneapolis, Minnesota, the USA. Thanks a lot. Good morning, family. I'm following from Bartonville, Quebec. That's Gay Caesar Divine Grace Bazon. James Sua joins Flexible General Ruben Connor, my dear brother. Christian Weiser. You have Deborah Kade Weir. You have Eugene Jebo, Estella M. Giples, Sekou S. Sayon. You have Van Johnson, Samuel Light Cooper. Who else is coming? This is Emmanuel Ellis Jr., Mary Toole, my dear sister. This is Sylvester King, Emmanuel Jella, Cassely Freeman, Duo G. Cruzo, our guy, Duo Cruzo. Duo, man, is chilling in the United Kingdom, man. Yeah, talking about that. The king, right? King of the Commonwealth it's in the U.S. Because yeah, and yesterday addressed the joint session of the United States Congress. I think the first in many years, if not the first. I think the first, right? Yeah, King Charles. And this is Honorable Papi Success Keita, and of course Samuel Henner Jr. Okay, let's see. Who else? Who else? Who else? Please grab your comment. So the president is in the U.S. I think he's still there, and he have collected his community awards. So it's a good thing. It's not easy. No? Okay, so when the leader is chasing a wars while the nation is lying in shambles, tatters, and of course filth everywhere, this is a lot. So what becomes of it? The leader gets an award, and nobody recognizes it. The country looks quiet on it. The country doesn't feel impressed. Citizens are not impressed. Not even supporters of the president are even impressed about it. It says a lot. But again, for us, we know the president traveled to the U.S. for matters bigger than just that plague. Well, that's what it is. That's what it is. We're back. But folks, just before we go to our main issues this morning, our attention is drawn to a disturbing reality in South Africa. And I know all of you have been seeing it. And I even asked a question because I've not seen any official position from our government on it. And it's important. Liberia's position in the international community has been very, very loud and exemplary. We have never waited, and this is not the first time these xenophobic, issues, um, especially in 2022, right? There was an incident in West South Africa, particularly Black South Africa, with xenophobic attack directed at Nigerian migrants. And when it started, Liberia stood right under the leadership of former President George Weah, and of course the diplomatic leadership of our country to South Africa and the African Union. The records are there. We play lead mediatory role, right, between the countries involved. We're able to work along with other partners in the African Union, and of course the South African Diplomatic Corps, right, to amicably resolving that matter or quelling the situation. Liberia did that. Liberia has never been silent on ensuring that the tenets of good governance, democracy, and fundamental rights are guaranteed, and ensuring that our relationships are built upon those. But sadly, this time around, it is apparent that Liberia is kind of seemingly adapting a posture of non-alliance. Getting involved, you're playing your cool and all of that. You're there. It has to matter you before you speak about it. But the latest round of xenophobic attacks in South Africa, is broad based, is generalized. Zimbabweans have been attacked, Ghanaians have been attacked, that we've seen Nigerians, and people from Malawi, and just wherever part of Africa you are, that you're there. The attacks is directed at African, Black African, significantly undermining the concept and the ideals of Pan Africanism. So, what is it? Who are we, African? On our lips, we're arguing a united Africa. We want united Africa. But in our respective countries, right, we are, aside from government policies, but we as people, right, are, are not, you know, accepting each other. And then there are government policies. To travel across Africa is even more difficult than traveling across and between Europe. But we are the loudest. Oh, we want one Africa. We want united Africa. The same people that are calling for united Africa are the same people attacking their fellow African that they want to be united with. It rings a whole bell. So it is easy always for us to blame the West for our misfortune. As soon as you talk about poverty, you talk about underdevelopment in Africa, we are we are very fast to draw conclusion and just throw all the blame on the West. We're a group of people that have refused over decades, right, to let the past be the past and focus on our strength today and build, but we excuse our inefficiency, we excuse our failures and laziness with issues and matters of the past. Sometimes we blame slavery, we blame all these things, yes, but we cannot use those things as excuses. I believe I am a strong believer in the concept of Pan Africanism, but in a more moderate and constructive way, not in a way that seems to ostracize any group of human beings. No, absolutely not. I do not believe our purpose for coming to this war is to take on the duty of fighting and of fighting the war for the generation before us. There's a judgment that lies ahead for those people, the people who these were human rights abuses, these were barbaric and ungodly practices. The judgment for it, each of them will pay. But to the way to pay back in my mind is to demonstrate that our race is superior, our race is intelligent, is to work and transform and make our society great in collaborative ways. But no. And what we see in South Africa is not unique to South Africa. Even countries whom citizens are being chased in South Africa, check in their own country. Ghana right here, right? On several occasions, there have been xenophobic rhetoric directed at Liberians and Nigerians in Ghana. And even in Nigeria, the attacks and xenophobic rhetoric against Ghanaians and other nationals. Even in our own country, Liberia, right? We're unwelcoming of other people, even African, even our closest neighbors. We hate each other to the extent. But because the news is carrying South Africa, we all jump. There was a back. So it is a tendency in the black man. For some reason, I don't know whether my conclusion is right. To an extent, it is a kind of tendency among black Africans to just despise or dislike or be hateful, be condescending towards people who are not of our own culture or our own ethnic confinement. Even beyond the country to country, even within our communities, we have extreme lines of unacceptable standards towards other people who are not from our kindred. And for us to have a united Africa, or for us to have united countries on the continent, for our people to live and see each other as one another, we have to respect, right? We have to respect the values of our scriptures. We have to live in accordance. We have to live in accordance with those values. I am not sure that any of the monotheistic religion, right, who encourage any of its followers to be mean against the fellow human being. Because your singular responsibility is to ensure, right, that you kind of move people towards God. And to achieve that, you can be satanic. Oh yeah, we're all watching what is going on in South Africa. It's barbaric. Statements are coming, but the statements are weak from African countries. I've not seen. This is a scene in South Africa that the rest of Africa united, right, to fight apartheid. And these are the same black South Africans that the rest of Africa, right, and countries on the continent surrender the natural purse towards the fight for their liberation from apartheid. And today, the ANC, the African National Congress, leading South Africa for all those years, has been witnessing the barbaric act of xenophobic attack on fellow Africans. What does that say to the contributions of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana? What does that say to the contributions of other African leaders to the ANC struggle for liberation in South Africa? What position is the government taking? How strong is the position of the government to stem that out? If the government loses control of its people, the government must not lose sight of history. Oh, if all of Africa adopts a posture against South African in each of their countries, even if they're five, let's say, if these black South Africans refuse to be human beings and be conscious enough to understand that this nonsense has to stop, right? And then South Africa, you're risking the life of your compatriots in other African countries. These people that you are mobbing, these citizens that you are mobbing, whether from Ghana, Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso, Zimbabwe, Malawi, from wherever they are, and you are blaming them for your misfortune. That is the African man's mentality. Always want to blame other people for their misfortune. When God gave you everything, then you turn around, you say, oh, the reason you are poor because the other man here. The humble beginning, the sacrifices that man accepted to endure, you refusing it, but you're saying that and you're blaming the man, and you are willing and prepared to kill the man because the man has disciplined himself to be successful, and you have sat down in your laziness, and you think that man is responsible for your laziness, and you go after him. Read the laws in your country. It favors what? South African. Under stringent and limited circumstances, these non-South Africans migrate to your country. They respect your laws. They trade with you, right? And they make their meager successes, and they're there. And you sit down with all of the opportunity available to you through your government. And you go after them. You're not going after foreigners. I mean, as in people from across the Atlantic. But you're going after, when there is trouble in South Africa, the very countries you will be running for refuge in, those are the countries whose citizens you are mobbing, you are attacking, you are vandalizing their home. Look at the most barbaric one I saw. These hooligans, for the lack of a better word, because I'm not sure if the state can give endorsement to that nonsense, who enter healthcare facilities and ask people on critical conditions who are non-South African to leave the facility. They say they are responsible for the lack of drugs in their country. Can you imagine? Africa, South Africa of all places. This is sad. Where is the position of the African Union on this? This is terrible. While we are fighting global racism, then among ourselves, we're there fighting each other, denying each other health care. Because the man from now, and you telling the man, say, oh, go fix your country. When you were being discriminated against, apartheid was killing you, killing your children, denying you education, denying you justice. Did the rest of Africa sat down to say, go fix your country, go fix your thing? You sought refuge in other people's country. You went to their schools. You got medication through their hospitals and facilities. They never deny you. They took you in. Why are you so mean? And you're doing this shamelessly. And you listen to some of them lazy, talking about, they are taking our job. Who took your job? Who took your job? You're lazy. Always blaming other people. And you find out most of those they're attacking, they're not people who have employment in the formal sectors, but people who have businesses. Eh? The man came to the country, a man established his own business, start to grow a business. Then you blame the man. If you were being denied employment for foreigners, and foreigners are dominating the employment market, we understand that means it is a system issue. You got to push your government to prioritize. That is a constructive conversation, but you can design the conversation in ways that 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 targets your fellow Africans. Nationalism is dangerous. It's terrible. It's an act of extremism that must not be allowed in any given human society where people wear that sentiment, right, of exclusion and always excluding other people. And yet something we have this, we have it even in our country here. Others are extremists. As soon as this pack up, the first group of people they want to attack, the very people who they sat in school with, the very people they live in community with, did everything together. And then this is wickedness. But again, as soon as reconciliation, unity on the tongue, this is why we can go anywhere. And this is why the politicians always exploit us in this, on this continent. Always exploit us. Because we are not genuine and sincere. When we talking to the South African, you come to Liberia, you see the same thing. When matters of Fulani come up, people become so, you can discuss the issue without being mean towards the people, the human being just like yourself. Oh yes, the law must distinguish, and the privileges in the opportunity must be distinguished. But to attack people and feel they deserve to die because they are not one of you, it is a bad culture. But you want to go in the white man country, you want to live there, you want to make millions there, and when the white man takes a banana up, and then you get outrage, you get furious. These people are racist. They let black people. You, the black man, you let yourself, you let each other, even in your own village, your own county, your own people. Villages are fighting against villages. Villages don't want to see other villages exist. This has to be the beginning of addressing the African problem. So we think what is happening in South Africa is despicable. It is sending a whole terrible image. Imagine those living in white communities in South Africa are safe. But in black communities, they will go a flight that you are paying for. You're not even living there free. They will go put you also. You go to the hospital, you're paying for the services. They will go deny and take you also. They go in your store, beating you, kicking you, taking things. What I want for? That the African mindset right there. And just as it is in South Africa, equally in other African countries. So the African, that's why I agree with is it Kagame? No, not Kagame, but the Kenyan president, William Ruto, I think recently, when he said that the African Union is not fit for purpose as it is. There has to be a structural overhaul and reform of the African Union, and I agree. There has to be a whole review of the African Union. It's not fit for purpose, not at all. In fact, even to be taking taxpayers' money and going for African Union Summit is a waste. It's achieving nothing. Look at the degree of hate on the continent. So what do these leaders even go to meet on? What do they achieve from those meetings? What do they achieve from those meetings? They cannot resolve. Look at ECOWAS, for example. You cannot resolve any major thing in the region. It is just going on and going on, going on and going on. Separatist movement all across the region. The regional body makes no intervention in the lives of these people. You think Nigerians are supposed to be abducted? Eh? Malians, Cameroonians, or these people, all of that. So what kind of role the regional bodies play? Well, anyway, folks, that's Africa for you. Let's hope our sympathies to all the victims of these barbaric, xenophobic actions and attitudes in South Africa. We think it's condemnable. There are South Africans everywhere, and that it will not be a good thing if other countries start to rally because you're attacking other people's citizens. You're attacking other people's families. You're attacking other people's families. And it is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. It has to stop. It has to stop. This thing must not be allowed anywhere, not even in our Liberia. Yeah, it must be allowed, right? You gotta go ask God for whatever reason God give everybody opportunity. This is why even in the family, why you be hating your friend? Why you be hating your friend in the community? Why you hating your friend? Go out there, compete, challenge, make it, or you wait for your time, right? Deal with the issue and stop hating. People just so hateful. Hmm? So let's fix that. Let the laws, let the rules in the country govern the attitude of everybody, the citizen, the non-citizen, the 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 migrant, whether the economic migrant or the political migrants or the whoever. That the law should have the limit, the defining limit of what happens. But our emotions and feelings must not be. You see somebody, imagine somebody on the street bobbing hair, and oh, you say that man taking your job. You can go bob hair too. Somebody bobbing hair, the open bobbing shop, the poor tarpaulin. I've been following it for long. Somebody put tarpaulin, the bobbing hair. The men are gang up. Able body men or gang up. They go tell the men over. Somebody selling DK, Dunga Flare, we are shoe. Somebody say, go back to your country. Go back to your country. So you can sell Dunga Flare shoe too. Somebody sewing shoe, you go move and you say, this is so ridiculous. And you think that women responsible for that? It's yourself. It's your leaders. Stop misplacing your aggression. Follow your leaders because these people in your country, they're paying laws, they're paying whatever they have to pay to the government, everything. If you find out they are not, if they're defrauding the government, then there's an issue there. And even if they're defrauding the government, then the government is allowing that to happen. Then you hold your government responsible, but not the people. Is it the way they enter? Are you the one who's supposed to be looking for illegal migrant, or it is the state that must be doing that? Choose state infrastructures. It's bad. You got to stop it. Okay, so let's come to our dear sweet Liberia, talking about this and what we can do. Okay, so on Monday, the vice president of Liberia captured all of the radio stations in the country for what turned out to be a disastrous media presentation. And I know a lot of you wouldn't agree because your mind is so uh, stuck. You're so blindfolded, and you cannot realize that in order for us to move this country forward, we need bravery. We need people who look in the eyes of people. And when I listened to the vice president, it reminded me about what we need to do to fix this problem. We have a real problem in this country, and you know what that is. Um, the way we are making decisions, especially in elections, the way we are choosing leaders, the way our politics have, and devalued, the way our politics have come down. at every level, the community level, and all of that. The things we need to prioritize in our search for leaders, we're not. We're rather allowing uh, tribal cleavages, religious affinities to becloud our sense of leadership, reasoning, and judgment. The qualities, even in the Bible and in the Quran. In the Bible and in the Quran, the qualities that qualify leadership are not the tribe you speak or the denomination you belong to. And there's a reason why. There's a spiritual reason. There's a rational reason why God Almighty did not instruct us to make our choices for leadership squarely based on kinsmanship. If that was the case, God would have been defined to say, in this certain region, these are the people in the world that must be leaders. God would have defined that. And acting outside of that, you'll be met with all kinds of things. God says quality. You must have humility. You must have a track record. You must have a spirit of selflessness. You must have an attitude to serve. You must have compassion, right? You must have the know-how. Because leadership requires a certain know-how. You have to know a certain thing. But in Liberia, we reduce and confuse it to the man for Nimba, that Nimba turned to be president. So because that Nimba turned to be president, Nimba posts out any Bonsue. We follow that Bonsue. We say, oh, that Nimba turned to be president. Oh, Nimba has the population. Nimba get plenty of vote. So let's take a vast running mate from Nimba. And nobody, some of them on that table, on that political drawing table, went to school in Cambridge. The Dukes of the War, right? The Yale of the War. This is where, but then they're sitting down on the drawing table, deciding for the country future, but then they're telling you that all they need, right, is Nimba. And whoever is picked from Nimba, that's what they will carry. It doesn't matter, right? No check on quality, no check on technical know-how, no check on capability, no check on awareness, right? You just take anybody. And we are making a fundamental mistake in Liberia, and we will continue to be behind. We'll continue to be crying every day. We'll use our time on the radio, right, to communicate the necessary education that's required because we believe in the potential and future of this country, whether you accept it or not. No matter the tag you give us, no matter the brain you give us, that's up to you, right? But we remain firm, even to a point where the leaders are blundering in their demonstrating elementary blunders, yet still you're in partisan defense of their attitudes. When they cannot measure, against their counterparts in other countries. When you listen to the vice president of Ghana speak on national issues, where she calls a major media conference, right, in the country to address critical issues in the country, that vice president is always aware about things and actions that she's taking and is aware and know that she has to remain consistent with government policies and all of that on the various issues. But a vice president that sounds ordinary, a vice president that sounds like a regular guy on Kerry Street debating issues and jumping from here, there, yonder, the thoughts are not coherent, they're not cohesive, they're not connecting, they're not supporting, then you call that a vice president. This is a shame. Mr. Vice President, you expose terribly, and this is a warning to the country. And maybe I could get into trouble for this, but I'm organic about this. I mean it. This is hurting. We can do this country like some kind of, and we can't do this country like that, man. I mean, for God's sake, where all your patriotism, where all your your love for country. And you just take anybody and put in any kind of office, and people start running the country like, oh, a squeeze smart. Go back and listen to Kun. Technically, listen to Kun. Jot down the points. Eh? A leader that lacks self-awareness, speaking to security matters, national security matters. Right? National security matters. And then they just spoke like that. A vice president, the second man, a man who has a seat in national security meeting, in executive meeting, comes out. Do you know the weight your comments carry? You don't joke. Do you know the weight? Do you know the interpretation, the meaning, and justification? Actions could be taken and be justified by your remarks as vice president. Putting our country in harm's way because of what I would consider loose talk. Then you think, vice president is oh, you know, TD man can go and capture. Are you kidding me? Confirming for the most part the presence of a military or a soldier group in our country outside of the main structure of our national security apparatus. You think the national security folks are excited about what the vice president said? They're not. Because these people are working diligently to keep protecting this country and keep assuring our neighbors that no threat from our country will be posed to your country. Then the vice president goes sit down on the radio and say, we got people in this country, it has happened before. And there's a history. What are you trying to do? Are you aware of the arrangement in the other country? Do you know the posture of junta leaders? You think they take comments lightly? And you're saying that in the country, they say, oh, when our leaders are making utterances that can jeopardize the safety and protection of our country, our leader, it is a shame. If nobody wants to call it a shame, I am going to call it a shame. And of course, Mr. Vice President, that appearance and those remarks you made were inappropriate. And I believe by this time, the national security folks, maybe in some technical ways, have signaled to you that your comments were misplaced. That was not your position to be saying. So how can the government distance itself from the press conference that was issued by those rebels generals in Nimba? What about the one that was made by Butt Naked? A direct threat to Guinea. Why do we have to put up a posture of threat to our neighbors, endangering ourselves? We don't, I'm not sure 2023 we went to the election for war or to show military strength. We went to the election for rescue. That's what you guys ought to be doing, to be rescuing us, and not to be measuring our military strength with other country military strength and inviting all kinds of things. Already, and you know it, the Guinean junta leader and the arrangement in that place have not been entirely okay. From wherever they've gotten whatever intelligence, they always believe that there are movements in Liberia that's going on that poses threat to them in Guinea. And even our own government went ahead and assisted them in arresting people that they deem to be threat to their stability, arrested them here, we turn them over. By that attitude, you know how our government justify it? Say we have to signal to our people that this place is no passage for any rebel activity, how to live side by side. You send them there. Then you finish doing that one, you come back in the country, then you talking on national radio, you say, oh, uh, you know, we got they met. Is that a way to communicate our military scream, Mr. Vice President of the Republic of Liberia? Is that the way you some military people out there, you're listening, some security people out there, you know, you tell us this one here. This thing here, the vice president should not have said this. Absolutely not. We must adapt the culture of being able, right, to say truth to our leaders and tell them what is wrong. Because when anything go haywire, it affects all of us. Listen to this. Okay.
People say, yes, the kid got a huge military and this and that, blah, blah. Put up. I got updated every day. Look, I hear people say, yes, the kid got a huge military and this and that, blah, 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 can't make it. We got fighting forces here beside it. I can't cause of me.
Wasn't necessary to say that? We got fighting forces here beside the army. What are you confirming? We got fighting forces here beside the army. This is not a small comment. And I don't think the vice president really meant to say this. Apparently, it just came out. We should not be confirming to the world that we got fighting forces here beside the army, especially when these people have collaborated with you, that they are threats from our country to their country. And you are even trying to confirm that there are fighting forces here that the government is aware of. Look at what the Eritrean and the Rwandans have been going through. Eritreans have been blaming, right, the Rwandan government of sponsoring the rebels that go to their country and everything that's happening. So what if any group of disgruntled Guinean, they will go and start doing something? The people could say, oh, the vice president said that they have people there. So the vice president should clarify this thing here so that our people will not be put into danger. You can go ahead and do your political defense, blah, 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 because your thing now regular politics. But anything that jeopardizes the stability, the peace, and put us into unnecessary confrontation with our neighbors, I don't think we deserve it. Because you know what? Some of us were born and our childhood was disrupted by the war. And now we have grown up and we are, born our own children. I'm not sure we want to have them go through the same experiences that we did. That's why we can have all of our political disagreements and blah, 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 but we will not support anything that's got to do with one day instability in the country. It can be whoever will not support you, and we'll remain consistent on it. To the point where we even told our friends, we say, you know what? There are better ways to alter a government in the society democratically, and we must empower and make election to look fearful. That politicians, when you mention the word election, politicians will be afraid. But to make politicians feel like they have to cave into the whims of other belligerent organization or means, right, to topple or remove government in the country, then we are taking away from the values and essence of democracy through election. And I do not subscribe to that. So because you're not rescuing the country, the people talking, so you just want to create some tension, some situation. So today or tomorrow, we're talking and say, oh, but we want our life to improve. We not get time for war, Bennett.
Sitting in some country. They are here. They happen here. You know. But
then you go ahead to reference the wartime. You remember that Charles Taylor evasion of Gekedu? You go ahead to reference that. How will we feel knowing and judging by what happened from Guinea to Liberia, from Sierra Leone to Liberia, and this country leadership start to tell us that you know what happened in the past, we did it before. We will feel threatened, right? And we'll start putting up posters. And we'll start calculating towards Sierra Leone or Guinea or Ivory Coast in some ways. This is not what our leaders should be talking. Our leaders should be talking about what they're doing to invest in the young people to create jobs.
I got updated every day. Look, I hear people say, yeah, the Guinea got a huge military and this and that, blah, 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 can't make it.
So they want you, what are you supposed to do as a vice president, huh? Right? You could gloss over a little bit what you know to be the capacity of our military, the training. You could emphasize on the exposure and training of our military. But we're not a country that's prepared to go into confrontation with our neighbors. We're focused on national security and national protection. We believe we have a strong and resilient force. Our force have been exposed to some of the war, best training, best capacitation. That's where our strength is. The intelligence of our men in uniform. As a country, we believe them. We believe in that. And we believe with the training of our army, we can withstand any aggression. And that's why we want to assure this country that the territorial integrity of the republic remains safe and in good hands. You're giving assurance to the people. You don't have to go make the kind of comment to do that, especially as a leader. You don't have to go make a comment that put us in some sort of harm way. Confirming whatever suspicion that the Guineans may have had about activities in Liberia, to the point where you had to arrest people in this country and send them over to Guinea to tell them that Liberia is not prepared and willing to support anything. But you go ahead and sit down, you try to confirm that you have forces here outside. Bodneke say they have men that they can move to Conakry to arrest the people. The other rebels in Ganta, they call a press conference that they are waiting, they're prepared, they will attack Guinea. Why? Is that a remark, a statement from a vice president? You pissed. Imagine this man is president, you take the country to war. Imagine this man is president. We don't need somebody who can talk before they start to really think critically. No, we need leaders who put their thinking faculty ahead. That when they ask a question, they put their thinking faculty in motion before their mouth come to say anything. I hope this thing doesn't land us into any kind of issue with our neighbors and what have you, because national security is guaranteed with and through external collaborations. You see, our national security institutions in Liberia are having a regional man-on-river collaborations. So you make it difficult more for our AFL or our defense, or council meeting with their counterparts in Guinea and making responses to these ones. Oh yeah, they go to meet. They meet among themselves. Even our NSA, the exchange. Because for us to be sure that we are safe in Liberia, we have to be sure that nobody is planning something in Ivory Coast to come to Liberia. We have to be sure that nobody is planning something in Sierra Leone to come to Liberia. We have to be sure that nobody is planning something in Guinea to come to Liberia. Plus, whatever actions we are doing inside, then we can guarantee national security. But when you start to threaten the other people on the national security and confirming that you have other people here outside of the army, right? That even 3 of them can go and capture a city there, you're threatening the people. This is a national security threat. Do we need it? No. Mr. Vice President, maybe you have to stop talking. I don't know who you want to impress. Mr. Vice President, the only reason they post selected you to be vice president on the ticket was because you're from Nimba populated. They did not select you because, and, they believe that you can work. They believe that, and you have the technical capacity. No, absolutely. I challenge you. You can ask all the UPs on the singular reasons why they chose you and accepted to go with you on the vice president ticket. No, it was not because of capacity issue, or not because of anything, simply because Nimba is populated and they will enjoy the Nimba vote. So you don't have to prove anything beyond that. Just make sure you continue to remain, and cherished by Nimbayans, and that's all you need. You don't need to prove that you can speak good English. You don't need to prove that you know about governance. You don't need to prove that you know about leadership. You don't even have to talk too much. That was not the reason why you were brought on board. Apparently, the vice president does not know. No, not anything. You were simply brought on board, handpicked, and of course, seconded by the late Prince Johnson, simply because, right, Nimba County who align behind you simply because you're from Nimba and they want a Nimba vice president. And that's all. Not because you're the smartest in Nimba, not because you're intelligent, not because you know about leadership, not because you've done a good job as a representative and then senator, not because you have shown exemplary leadership, whatever. No, zero. So you ought not to prove any of that to us because that was not the basis why we even, selected you. Because if those were the measurement, I'm sure you would not have made it there. If those were Prince Johnson calculations, he would have chosen other Nimbayans over you. Okay, and you all either know that to be facts. You know it's so, right? Another thing, and that one I'm going to go to. Let's forget about the security one, right? You think the security one is even, but there are even more disastrous things that the vice president said that contradict the position of the president. That's even being highlighted by former Lands and Mines Minister William Pay on national resource management. Remember, the president when he campaigned that first of all, there's 12 years while he served as vice president that there were opportunities squandered. And that he wanted to be president to fix those things. And the 6 years of Mr. Weah, he continuously condemned the way things were proceeding. He condemned the concessions, the agreements, and the benefits that were coming to the country. And he always said and had a position to review these concessions. That's what he said. Even at his Sona, the president remarked as a policy of his government to review the concession and make them better for the country. But the vice president goes on national radio. The vice president says that as a matter of their position, right, these concessions were signed by previous government and that they cannot or they will not do anything about them because doing so will mean that our country is not, friendly to foreign investment or whatever he said. Just trying to paraphrase. That is a 360-degree contrary position to the president's commitment to ensuring that these concessions are reviewed to meet what he deemed as in the best interest serving the Liberian people. So for the vice president under that narrative, vice president, all the concession okay. Whether you are sleeping in tent in Nimba, it's okay. Whether they're not providing medication for you, it's okay. Whether they're not paying the school they promise, it's okay. Whether they're not paying you right, it's okay. Whether they're violating your labor right, the vice president said we can't do nothing, but it's okay must remain like that. Even though the president said they will visit it, but the vice president says no. And this vice president attends cabinet meeting or gets briefed about the outcome. And I'm told, like Woman Pay indicated, that the president has consistently re-emphasized his position on these things. So what is going on here? The vice president has some dementia issue. Vice president goes. Vice President contradicts what the president said. Mhm. The president recently is in America addressing his audience. The president said the country is okay and well. Things are fine. The vice president goes on national radio a day later, after listening to what the president said. A day later, the vice president said that unemployment and poverty are unacceptably high in the country. What is going on here? And you call the vice president appearance as good? Uh-huh. So is the vice president not aware that his conversation has to remain aligned with the president and they got to remain in sync on national issues? Hmm? When you begin to take off your partisan hat, then you begin to realize the danger that continues to happen in this country. Hmm? The vice president, in an effort to make himself look as being there for the Liberian people and the Liberian business community, and they've always said business is a scam, right? Business is a scam. We don't know the kind of businesses that you are doing, but the business is a scam and all that. Talk about foreign businesses are corrupt, while Liberian businesses, even if Liberian businesses steal, but foreign businesses steal more, and all of that. So the vice president is aware of this, and the president put him in charge of the Yellow Machine Acquisition Committee to make decision and determination on the companies that must be awarded the bid to procure and acquire the yellow machines for the country and the government. Vice President went to that process, and the Liberian company stood out, won the bid, but got kicked out under the supervision and watch of the Vice President, who believed today, right, that it will be a better thing to give our contracts to Liberian company than foreign company, because foreign companies, according to him, will take more while Liberian company will take less. Hmm? What do the people take us for? Vice president can be sounding like that. Hmm? Vice president can be sounding like that. Let's go back to the concession company. What the vice president said, we can change. We gotta remain like that. But this is the vice president that in April, on the 11th to be specific, went to B Mountain and got slapped with a reality, right? A reality that speaks terribly about our country and what we're benefiting from our natural resources. But the vice president said, it's okay, let's leave it like that. When we expect that after the several days, when that reality was slapped in the face of the vice president, when he make position, he'll be telling the country on what official position he communicated with his boss on what to be done in the B Mountain exploitation in Grand Cape Mount that will better serve our people. The vice president did not say anything like that. Rather, the vice president believed that these concessions were signed and they must remain like that. And some of you have already started sycophantically hiding the man be president. The man can be president. The man should be president. Hmm? The man who says status quo ante must remain. Under this arrangement, you think you can get rescued? No. When the vice president went there to B Mountain, the guys told him that Mr. Vice President, as of today, first of all, for you to know, we produce 900 kilograms of gold every month from your country. That's what we produce. And at a rate of 1 kilogram which trade between $152 US, 152,000 US to 153,000 US per kilogram. So when you do the math monthly, you're talking about $135 million monthly that comes out of the country just from bee mounting. And in 12 months, you're talking about $1,620,000 United States dollars that comes out of Liberia through bee mounting for a year using their own calculation. So such a thing is said to the vice president. And the vice president makes a national radio appearance and says nothing to the country about what sort of quality recommendation he's made as a result of his visit to bee mounting and the revelation that he uncovered to see how, as a government, they can work to reviewing and bettering that deal in ways where Liberia get near fair share. Near fair share. Vice President didn't say that. See what Women Pay is beating the vice president on. Maybe the vice president should not have even made that appearance, because it was similar, contradicting the president on some end, contradicting government policy, contradicting himself, right, and his position. When your actions are different from the words you're communicating, and then putting the country at risk. So who the TD men Jamaica Ghana that come and go capture city in the people country? Who the 3 men? Are they from the Jamaican Sabbath team? So these are remarks that must not be coming from the vice president office. I don't know whether as vice president he has security consultants who consult him on matters of national security and the way he speaks to them. If that was going to be the case, I'm not sure the vice president would have sounded the way he did on the Guinea border issue. It sounded so ordinary, just like a regular guy on Kerry Street saying, "Oh, I hear say, and the both talking say, oh, Guinea get army pa, like, you won't take a Tony at Amara corner, go over Amara like a man, you for each other, right? You don't disagree, Amara, Amara. He vice president, then you want something. So the former and energy minister, Women Pay, and Nimbayan also, who believes that, and of course has taken issues with the vice president Jeremiah Kun over what he describes as contradictory comments regarding President Joseph Boakai's policy on reviewing concession agreements in Liberia. Contradictory comments. Should a vice president comments be contradictory to the head of state? What kind of government are we running? Oh, he feels president himself. He feels his ideas are different from the president own, and he has his idea. And if we even place his idea on the pedestal to scale it, maybe he's qualified to be. Maybe he's not a community high school president. The kind of idea that Jeremiah Kun present, yeah, because we've lowered the bar in the country. So I mean, yeah, I'm a young guy with a loud mouth because I read several cases, several areas. I mean, the country deserves better. There are a lot of smart, brilliant, intelligent people, knowledgeable people in this country. We can't keep surrendering the country all the time to squeeze smart people. Squeeze smart. Look at Kun, man. And he's my own big brother, of course. The vice president is my own big brother. But no, man. That is too below the belt. So speaking, doing an appearance on state radio, ERBC on Monday, Vice President Kun said most of Liberia's existing concessions were negotiated by previous administration, including the B Mountain, right? With all that whooping disturbance and revelation that he saw, right? The man said, so he warned that any attempt, the man said, in spite of how B Mountain situation is, the vice president said, the vice president is seemingly advocating for B Mountain to remain the way it is. So come on, you can cry, tire, block and country your eye, and how you call the other guy from Luka, right? Bwaka Jaliba. Is it Bwaka Jaliba? Right? Trying to deceive you because you want to be a lawmaker there and trying to say, oh, they get petition going nowhere. Right? Vibrant is clear that any attempt by the current government, by their government, to undo those agreements, like the agreement with B Mountain, could portray the country as hostile to foreign investment. And they do not want to look hostile. So you can crack tire, block and count out of your eye. The government position, if we must consider, and this is why women pay how to come out. And other people in the system that know, right? How to come out. Say, I didn't mean, you can't say you fire me anymore, you fire me already. I say no. But let me say it. So what women paid there was good. Call it out. Because we could interpret this as the government position. And this could anger the people of Cape Mount to know that the government they brought to change and better the condition. The government is saying that they will not because it will make them seem hostile. So it justifies everything you criticize George Weah for because the government was also thinking about not presenting itself as hostile to foreign investment. However, in a statement issue, so women page a statement, he argued that several of the vice president's remarks were not aligned. Several of the vice president's remarks were not aligned with the president's state policy position. So imagine a vice president goes and make a national appearance, right? And he severally contradicts the president's stated opinions and position about governance issues in the country. And what does that say to you about that vice president or about the system that we exist in? He recalled that contrary to Coons' assertion, President Bwaka was unequivocal in his third annual message this year, reiterating the government's commitment to reviewing all concessions. So the president said he is committed and continue to highlight that in cabinet meetings that the vice president is privy to, that he is committed to reviewing concession agreement that he believes and deems unfair. But the vice president said, no, we can't touch it. And then you saw be a UP supporter, you be excited about the vice president presentation. If this is the appearance you were using to decide whether when President Bwaka said you're not running for now, you're okay, you're moving on that straight. You're moving on that because the beating will not be easy. According to Pay, all officials entrusted with leadership responsibility must ensure that their statement and action reflect established government policy. And this is not even according to Pay, but this is according to best practice and standard. That's why you have to be aware of what is happening in the country. What's the position of the government? When you go speak, your position can be different from the government position on any given issue. Your position as an official of the government, whether as vice president or whatever, cannot be different from the position of the government. Maybe as lawmakers and all that, but especially in the executive realm, no. That means something is not. It's not connecting. Folks, this is it. Two things. The vice president should apologize and retract those comments, or he makes another appearance and let be able to evaluate for that thing that happened on Monday. Was just free money to the media organizations. Nothing. I was so ashamed of my vice president. I don't know how you felt, but again, this is the rescue. The rescue was done in hurry rescue. so that hurry bust trouser. So because people hurry for power, they just collect anybody, anything, and put them on the rescue train, and then coming on a certain to speak. Reverend go speak the national issue. Say that. He said, you just contradicting everything, inconsistent with the policies and position of the government, and making a terrible national security remarks. 0776 104 500 104 plus 231 86 500 104 are the numbers to call. Let's hear you, Liberians. What do you think of these comments and these remarks? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Let's hope and pray that these things will be worked well. Good morning.
Good morning, Brother Abu.
Morning.
Thank you very much for the show this morning. I'm definitely back when it's going to be changed because and the outgoing speaker turn to this film is heavy. Brother Abu, those people, the king will betray and deceive. They deceive other people and come with hatred. The people deceive Senator Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson brought them on board. They get rid of Prince Johnson. Now, how they will get rid of Jeremiah Kun until Bogart will destroy the whole municipality. And then.
But you think they want to get rid of Jeremiah Kun? Jeremiah Kun himself throwing himself under the bus.
Definitely, they will get rid of Jeremiah Kun. Before they do it now, Jeremiah Kun will be crying like a baby. You say, Jeremiah Kun.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm fine. Let's hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm actually calling from the
Mm-hmm.
Our past president calling for it's been statements that the product when he did for the senator from
Oh, Amara Corner?
Amara Corner, and they are trying to hunt him up. He making more than that.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to bring war on the people. Because the president told us that when they now win, they will bring the end of that. Then they are won now. They want to end like they want and go on. They want to win Guinea and start banning in the river. The river banning is the one that brought the problem on that river right now.
Do you think the statement was right for the vice president to say and confirm that we have other military in the country aside from our national soldiers?
Thank you, my brother. Vice president, he right in his thing that he knows with him. He said there are 20 people. So that he's training, they don't want he's training on. He condemned the army that we have. And the army is not ready. They are not in readiness of fighting any war, any conventional war. Actually, he's not ready for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ezekiel from I'm calling from Jesus Pastor.
Go ahead.
Yeah, brother, you know the statement from the vice president that just one girl at the law. If Benin was any other country that maybe just ready or waiting to fight war now, I think later on Monday, Benin going to be the first person to strong rocket in the law. And the vice president statement. A leader, a national leader, we all, let's just say a national radio station, while this kind of modernization is all over, making a kind of statement. So I believe that if Jeremiah is ready to go in and go capture the Republic of Conakry, he will do it. And the letter of born again and making out of a statement, Jeremiah is right.
So who you think Jeremiah depending on? And some the guy said the met Chinese people. So you I mean, this is.
If the vice president of the rescue government can tell you say they get capable people, even today, if I were in the army, I would take the uniform from them and resign from the army. Let Jeremiah depend on the people because Jeremiah not even get trust in the army that will have. If it can be one army man, that what will have.
Okay, thank you very much. This is exactly what the vice president said. I get updates every day. I hear people say Guinea gets huge military. Look, we got fighting forces here beside the army. Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Abu.
Morning.
Good morning to the Liberian people. For justice, they concern Liberia for justice.
Go ahead.
While they're talking over and over and say the government are in power, they want to bring war in the country, but they're looking for where to bring the war. Vibrantness set on state radio, telling the whole world they listen to him, and the Malian listen to him that we got men. A war that General Paul they can say we're getting feet to their set, they can fight before they battle their set, I ain't getting. General Paul they can say that war, Joseph Bogana, General Paul they can say stop. The war that you said we ain't not funny. Why is it that we're getting battle, we're getting feet, they can fight with being getting within seconds. You see, and my brother, that the reason we tell Liberian people will work happening. If they bring the people in power, you will bring public all that nation. And that go far on you. Jeremiah go fit to his head and the few the Malian that for war, for the war and war in and war. But let me tell you,
no, don't put Nima people for inside the team. That Jeremiah couldn't go to your own setting. I'm begging you. Nobody will put anybody. Jeremiah couldn't one way explain and answer your own question. Nobody will go inside. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. This is Ethmaka, and I'm the visually impaired. They're pushing for the return of President Weah.
Go ahead.
A problem more concerned Liberian for justice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that one we were ICM. That is why I said to most of my colleagues that, look, American supported the people, and they say, no, American support. He been vocal. He been providing solution to the government. They are not following.
Mm-hmm.
So in this one, we say, well, Amara. That the election has been going ever since. You made a mistake. You know some of the things that happened there. I brought one of my senior minister. I was telling him. Okay, so that statement that Amara made is solidarity with the AFL. And that of the statement that the Vice President of the Republic made, which one can we take serious? If it was somebody else, then you see the regime speaker writing the House of Senate to tell them, so in this one, why can't they write the protein completing the Vice President of what you classify? That's why you call classified information. Because the Vice President is Guinea, but we got men here, Jet 3 or Jane can go into another country and capture the whole city. What the country you talking about? You already talk about Guinea. This is serious. That the government need to look at. The Vice President, if it is a complete
so where the Vice President got that forces?
Oh, but he said every day he got briefing. He not get briefing from national security.
That's what he said. He said,
briefing from
I get updates every day.
I get updates every day. So he get updates from the guys that he got. They can go into another country and capture city.
I believe you're talking about national security. I believe you're talking about national security update, maybe.
Oh, but his concern was not about national security. His concern was about the standby, putting AFL aside and using people. And this is why I said that last statement that Naked Buck made, it was necessary and very important that you should be called in for cautioning to tell the Liberian people how and what is his relying, but he will never call. Similar statement Bob Naked made that the poor would be at the river here, we would be in Guinea. That similar statement the Vice President made. You want to tell me, are these some of the people that the Vice President is working with? Look, you know what's going to happen? It's not possible to easily put the Vice President down and bring in new person. For some of the statements the Vice President made, I seriously believe that the Vice President will be used against him. Look at the concession thing you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the concession thing you were talking about. Your boss can't say it. You go, you say another thing. You acting that you want to be in sympathy or Liberian when you know what is happening in your eye. What about the traffic management thing?
Traffic management.
What about the King George that you went there? You want to go in your hand. You acting that you crying after you have served a representative. You have served as senator. Now, Vice President should have been informed. What about that? What did he do as a Vice President? Did he take anything? But what a guy is trying to do, you know, when you play a game too much, so that he can color with you. Okay. The guy is trying to find a escape route with the possibility of he taking over just in case anything happen or whatsoever. So he want to be using some of those things to use it as an escape route to play on the mind of the Liberian people, but that's not going to happen. So I'm very sure that the Union Party people are going to punish Mr. VP on this one, because we are going to run the narrative, we are going to run with it until the government will be able to come out and comment on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Look, folks, I mean, you are seeing that, oh, I would support the president, I want to support the government. Look, I have my disagreement with the president, but I do not think that his presidency has to be interrupted by any means. And I will believe this is the perfect opportunity for the president to query his vice president on this remark. I mean, that entire interview is an interview that the vice president has to speak more or answer some questions on. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Abu, how you doing?
I'm okay. Go ahead.
I'm Tanu Mawulu calling from Kontan. Yeah, we love that talking about impeachment. Today is the best time to impeach. They need to impeach the vice president. To replace that man need to be replaced by the statement. As a diplomat making all statements. We as a citizen, we don't need war anymore. Apart from that, I think from there you're coming impeachment as well. Guinea, Labrador don't match Guinea anything. If a senator come and tell you say those that do this for the AFL, you'll talk about that. We know the challenges. I'm a United Party. I'm a member of United Party. David got a challenge. Our mothers are crying. People dying every day. Just visit JFK. Go visit JFK. The country that in the country you don't address it where your child lives. You go sit down, radio, report things nonsense. Then people be clapping hand with it. The president need to take real action against Jeremiah. It's wrong.
Thank you.
It's completely wrong.
Thank you very much.
2029 will strongly pay.
No, but then when the president comes, we'll continue the conversation. I mean, it doesn't have to be made public to us, but I mean, there has to be the vice president. I mean, when I listen to the thing, after my show, I went and started following. It was disaster, absolute disaster. And he sounded so confident with these things. The sitting vice president, head of state, addressing a critical national security issues, cross-border issues, make these remarks. I get updates every day. I hear people say Guinea gets huge military. Look, we got fighting forces here beside army. I will not call their names. They can cross on the other side and capture a town. Are you kidding me? Let me take 2 more calls and then I'll go to something else quickly. 0776 104 104. Good morning. Go ahead.
The president and the vice president is between war drum. They're between war drum because they already still anything for Liberia. So they want to war. They want to bring war so they can say, oh, like because of the war. I want we do anything but they lie. They are lying. And now what the vice president said about it? So you're telling the other people not to start preparing.
Why you say
they got this beside our AFL. So which means 22 on the side. The last time was what they can have they said our force. So in working alone with one they can the other people the regular
the statement was not good. That is see where if somebody sits in Guinea, right, and start to threaten our country, you think we'll sit down here, we put our hands on it. So it's wrong. You should not use our office, to jeopardize our stability. We're already hungry in the country. Things tough. Citizens are crying every day. You are not using your time on the radio to communicate hope, right? To communicate, a prospect for the people, assurances. Then you making utterances that could further threaten to resolve the matter in Solomba. has not even happened properly. And then you go to make a seemingly confirming statement of the possibility of a kind of established military force in the country with the capability to move across. For what? What do we need that for? How do that serve the purpose of rescuing our people in Liberia? Is that what you came to power for, Mr. President? Yeah, need to ask the Vice President. I mean, no, this is unacceptable. The guys are failing the country terribly. Imagine the wave of ministers, commissioners, and executive officials in this current government. In year 2, they have already begun the process of what? Planting seeds in their county to run, or in their districts to run for legislative offices. What does that say to you? We gave you responsibility in the executive. So basically, when you start to prepare yourself for legislative seats in your county, then you're only using our executive office now to source funding for your future legislative campaign. And where does that leave all of us? Where does that leave all of us? We don't start thinking in this country. We don't start thinking and asking leaders a hard question. When you go to election, you vote. You didn't vote to go and bury your brain on all these people. No, when you finish voting, you come from there, you sit down, you become critical and start to make and push them. Minister of Youth and Sport now reduce the entire ministry to vlogging ministry, content creation, passing around, doing all kind of nonsense with a whole youth and sport ministry. The other guy to Noka, he won't be senator in Grand Kema. Party owner won't be represented in Lofa. Client Massacre won't be represented. Ben Fofana won't be senator. The other one. These are all commissioners. Where are we going, folks? Let me take the last caller. Then we'll go to something else. The Vice President. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning there. Abu, this is Bas speaking.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Abu, what do you expect from the Vice President who tells the Liberian people one thing and then later on tell them another thing? This is a Vice President who tell us during the war period, he was selling Kinju and other things, dodging bullet on the front line. I mean, only all we know, the people who goes on the front line and dodge bullet are rebels. So if you see a vice president coming up, not thinking about the situation in Guinea, they don't tie every week.
Not democratic, then you go make that kind of statement. You think that put calculation, like democratic regime calculation? Why put people in harm's way?
They don't, because hey, let me tell you something, Abu. Every week is a coup d'etat in Guinea. Anything goes wrong in Guinea, they're coming for Liberia. Every week is a coup d'etat in Guinea. That's something that's very much worrisome, bro. We have our family over there. We know how some of us think in our country. They already look at, once you are Ba, you are Jalo, you are this other thing, they tell you, say you're from Guinea. You're putting our families in a harm way. You're not thinking about that. It's so unfortunate that we have such people as leaders in our country. Back then, 6 years ago, we never heard this kind of thing coming from Vice President Jua Howard Taylor. She was always careful. She don't even speak.
She
Those
would
are
never
intelligence.
say that.
I mean, you left brains and you brought in Joe Blows that speak anyhow, whether they put the country on harm's way, they don't care. I mean, and another thing again, that same vice president who talk about liberalization policy, who back the liberalization policy, but at the end of the day, speak from his mouth. I don't know where the other talk come from. I mean, gave Chinese concession agreement now, wanting to give the Putu mining to another foreign company. I mean, what is this, Abu?
What is this?
You make
What
it
is
say one
happening
thing,
to our
then
country?
he's doing another thing.
Another thing, I mean, coming up and speaking good, at the end of the day, behind the scene, you collect money from those people and you say nothing. That may tell me something. What happened
we know what they collect money on, but at least what we know is you say one thing and your action proving another thing. You took the yellow machine thing from a Liberian company, a young Liberian guy, ABK, and gave it to a Chinese company. You took transport ministry from the government and MDMC. You give it to LTM, Lebanese people. You take the job permitting. You took it from the ministry of from the Ministry of Labor and give it to an Indian company.
I mean, what is this? What is happening to our country? They said George Weah, former President Weah, were not doing the right thing. But who is doing the right thing right now? Who is doing the right thing? Everything happening in our country is completely different from what they speak about. And we knew this. We said this was going to happen. Because we knew they had 66 concessional agreement in our country that nothing came out of it. No Liberian, no nothing at the end of the day. Today, where are they? They come back for the same thing, giving these things to foreigners. And when we talk, they either shut you off or they impinge you. You know, or they go after you, or they're planning to close down every radio station that speak against them for doing the wrong thing. Okay. So, Abu, I mean, our country will incomplete mess, my brother.
Thank you, my brother. We shall overcome. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Abu Jerry.
I'm okay, Chief.
Abu, the president and the bad president.
Wow, you won't call your name for security reason, or you forgot?
No, Vanny get you 1 billion we are sent. Follower of Abraham Boston we are.
Go ahead, Vanny.
Yeah. But Abu, let me tell you. The vice president always when he talk again when K2 students that had a vice president always talk. Because yes. Seriously.
K2 student?
Yeah. How the vice president always talk.
All right, go ahead. Tell me why.
The first time when the vice president ever talk in this country, he said that Georgia is a common citizen. How will you look at somebody that Georgia you call a common citizen when you passing Georgia can pass? Now how you supposed to talk as a leader? It's very telling, man. You come again, you discussing about your security, the security that's supposed to protect the land and property in the country. You're discussing about them. You said that you have security apart from the army in the country. Now how you discuss this thing can escalate war in the country. The fact that they cannot see war in the country. But our other countries today, my brother, it is now. But now we find a place to have. Because you know how the first security in the country, you say they cannot think. They're not sure that you bring it in the country. That is the thing, they remove you can't call about because they say you can't call about we're not loyalty in the country. You don't have law for the country. So
why you think you think they should remove the vice president too?
Exactly. Because he not deserve to be vice president in this country. You don't deserve to be vice president. How will you go on national platform? You say that you have men in the country pass on the army that they can move the entire city in different countries. How will you say that kind of statement? How will you say that kind of statement? So now I said that the vice president always speak that the K2 students.
Okay. Because, thank you very much. And because good morning. Morning.
Yeah, as I said, let me say my point. The vice president, the power of when the vice president, when he's speaking, you know how to speak. I want to tell the vice president, nobody will probably in the country, the 15 years ago when the airport died for our business, the land, they don't spend money. The vice president is happy because in the power grief for the vice president, you know how to speak when you say on state radio, who's begging. They feel Ghana are running, but I'm saying they are men, they're able to work in it. Please, they're not in war. If you're not able to settle the border issue, you're going to get over. You're going to have a Vice President, please, when you get nothing to say, please.
Mm.
God, when you talk to me, who?
All right.
Information speak on that radio.
All right, thank you very much. If you're able to solve the Ebola issue, you'll leave it. All right. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Abu.
Morning, ma'am.
Yeah, and he says, I'm calling from Brownsville.
Go ahead, sis,
I
mama.
thought the people said they were saying, man, John, you too, boy.
Mm-hmm.
So that the men there now, they just fucking get a quality chicken. No sense of direction, nothing. They are overwhelmed there, the night. Because they're not going to go with devil. Devil ruling there.
So, but the job we getting for 6 years, like just 2 years, and then overwhelmed them?
Yeah.
Wow.
They are overwhelmed, they know no sense of direction. When Baka go there, he's talking different things. The other men, they start talking different things. Nothing sound, they talking. So, Tabata, they talking. They want to bring war because they brought poor being bad president. The half of so, just our Lord Jesus Christ will be all. And today, all for the people in the area, nonsense they brought.
Amen. Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning. There's sporting Liberian citizens at risk that will even be traveling to Guinea. The people will be putting extra surveillance on you. They'll be looking at you funny and all of that. Do we need it? No. Our sisters can go for business and market opportunity over there. Do they need to be surveillance? No. Good morning. Go ahead.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much. My name is Robert, and I call from Great Kima County.
Go ahead, Robert.
Abu, we are looking at the House of Representatives and the Senate. If they don't take any action against this vice president, it means that they need to reinstate over. Because if you look at the two statements, the vice president's statement is stressed enough to say that you have men, and we can remember a campaign in Liberia, Lufa, especially with the higher Zubu group, about 800 military. I believe that the guys, depending on the guys, that they couldn't afford naked men. So if you have men to capture whole country, and you're going to say you believe that they lay for Guinea, so which one is that? And reading like people now sit down and look at this. If I put them rest, they enjoy it in their comfort zone, go and sit down there and they concentrate better. But we are looking at the House of Representatives and the Senate. We are looking at it political eye. The thing they're doing is feel that it is their time. But we are Liberians. This country belongs to everyone else. They don't rise up against these people. We'll come back to the issue to keep my Liberia issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very, very, very kind. So we're gonna hold it right there. Those who have ears will hear. But look, in normal times, these are not the comments that must be coming from a sitting vice president, especially during abnormal times like what is transpiring at the border and all of that. If resolving the Solomba border issue is becoming difficult for the government, we can understand. Let's hold it at that and not create. Sometimes it may not be direct and physical harms for our people, but do you know what it means? That because you right now when you're even traveling to Guinea or you're in Guinea, you have a Liberian passport, you're living somewhere, security people will be tailing you, they'll be looking suspicious and all of that. People don't need that. People need to live free, transact freely, move about freely, at least to achieve their life's objectives. This is what we think. Do I trust the legislature to ask some questions? I really do not, because the legislature has made themselves into a regime stuff. Probably the way we can achieve anything substantive from this is for the president himself to call the vice president to order. Call him to order. Probably if the president gives an instruction to the legislature, then something can happen. Liberia is bigger than everybody. Because the vice president, if the vice president goes and start to sound in ways that put the country in danger or in harm's way, I agree with one of the colors treating them. And it's impeachable. Oh yeah, it's impeachable. Vice president shouldn't do that. You should never ever. Where do you have those men? Who's aware of them? For what? Why should you even train those men? The money you're taking to pay those men, why you can't put in the army? I don't know, but the vice president, Maybe it was a loose lip or whatever it was, but it was absolutely inappropriate. Inappropriate to the highest order. And I know probably by this time the vice president should be regretting those comments and those remarks. And then you come home and inside again, then you contradicting your own boss man. Boss man policy said, boss man can send you on mission say, oh, go take care of they want you go there. Then you're having a whole different view and approach than what the president position is. Now you see why all the assignment the president have given the vice president, he has not achieved anything. He has not resolved anything. And when the president says, oh, go to the other concession, go look at the Putu mines and everything that's happening with it. In fact, that Putu mine thing, big head about trouble hanging over it. Big head about trouble hanging over it. We'll talk about that another time. Let's take this break and then we'll look at Brother Jefferson Koji comments. And then we take your calls. Crime Stopper Liberia will be right back.
Shama musical. There are crimes in many places. In every community, you can see. So if you see crime, you report it. Don't take law in your hand. Call the right authority. That it can't take care of it. Crime Stopper here for us. Bringing safety to your door. Whether you rich or you poor. If you see a you must talk it. And I mean you cheche. Do it for your safety. If you see it, don't keep it. You must call to report it. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper, Liberia, from the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, let's stopping crimes for all of us. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper, Liberia. From the center to interior, Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, let's stopping crimes for all of us.
Crime Stopper Liberia is your community crime fighting partner. Don't take the law into your own hands. Remember, if you see a crime, report it. This is a message from your own self, old man.
The old man, Sam Simon, thanks a lot. Folks, quickly, Liberian professionals are coming out and they're speaking out. And of course, it's important that we go 2 years into the rescue, teams are looking shaky. Our foundations are being tampered with, and the country is headed terribly. And of course, this is not what Liberians expected. And we also must rally our voices to keep asking those in power to do more and do better, as things seems very, very disastrous for our people and of course the country in the future. Right? Look at what the government is doing. The government is they've eaten out today and they're mortgaging the future. Look at the debt portfolio. Look at how they're just taking money from everywhere and indebting the country. So Gabriel Yamto is a Liberian student and scholar and an accountant, right? And he has written this brief note about what he thinks about some economic development and decisions in the country. He says, and I'm going to read, so let us set aside for a moment all political sentiments and affiliation. It's important. Where Liberia is now, we have to sometimes suspend political affiliations, party sentiments, because the country is in serious trouble. Let us reduce this to a matter of common sense, one that requires neither a degree from Harvard nor Oxford, but simply clear reasoning, clear, unambiguous reasoning. A single mining company, B Mountain, holds exploration rights in Liberia and extracts approximately 1.65 billion in gold annually from our soil. In return, the Liberian government receives a mere 3% in royalties. That you common sense. Meanwhile, the Liberian government travels to Washington, D.C., secures a $266 million concessional loan from the IMF at 2.25% to 2.5% interest. Remember that 266 million they've been flying away for the past 2 days? That credit, and the percent is 2.5. Payable over 2 decades, 20 years. So the government now credit money and entrap the country for 20 years. After Boubacar and Kun are no longer around, the generation that was not even aware of how they became president, those are the people, our children, that will be paying the debt that Kun and Boubacar have gone to source, and are going to end up in the pockets of few powerful people in the country. No impact on all of us. But at the end of the day, that our children will come and be struggling to pay those debts. 20 years, you put the country into debt. Interest payable to 2 decades, and presents this as a development breakthrough. According to Yanti, Brother Gabriel Yanti says, imagine the trouble in this, the disaster and the danger in this. But then you have the government shamelessly presenting this future embarrassment as a development breakthrough that we must celebrate. We'll be clapping our hands. Say Boubacar and Gafwan, who say no economic, but everybody in the country, they now go borrow money from IMF to entrap and endebt the country for 20 years. But they say that big development, everybody will work and clap for them. People not get idea. People rig this country and rig the future. That's what they're up to. Ask yourself, Yanti says, why will Mita still want to give Liberian government 20 million in signature bonus? Why? Why? With all the noise we're making on them, why would they want to give us 200 million in signature bonus? Why do you think so? Isn't that a gift from the devil? Why, as a country and people, why we not thinking we all just doing partisan thing, passing around, and blah, 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 other people attacking other people, leaving the real issues. When Abu talk about it, then he say, oh, Abu, that CDC journalist. You're not looking at the meat and substance of what Abu is raising. But you want to blackmail me, a young profession, so that you will be cloud the reasoning that we're trying to transmit to our people to be able to oppose. From the day I became a journalist in this country and became a talk show host, I remain vehement against the terms and conditions of the Asilometer concession in this country. And that is on record. But yet still, in your little mind, you believe, I am not doing journalism. But the people who shield Asilometer are the ones doing it. But we leave that to posterity. Liberia's total public debt stands at 2.8 billion. And you're celebrating 1.2 billion budget? The whole year happened. But you know, as of December 2025, you know how much Liberia owe? 2.8 billion. Just 200 million short of 3 billion. So you can imagine by the time rescue is finished, rescue completes a 6-year term, will be over 3 billion in public debt. With the frequency at which Gafwan is passing around collecting debt and borrowing money from everywhere because he has no idea to work any magic. Now, answer me honestly, is this a failure of our reasoning, or does it point to something more embedded in our poor judgment as a country, as a government, and as a people? So when I come sit behind these microphones and start to speak to some of our big brothers, these are all big brothers, in a kind of strong tone, you think I'm doing it out of rudeness or friskiness? No. It's because I see the danger in the actions and decisions that they're taking. And the selfishness in it. Why should the president keep creating new bureaus and commissions and making additional appointments in government and increasing our debt stock. We're borrowing money and our resources are being mortgaged. And then we shouldn't talk. We should leave it like that. But anyway, let's start every time, a critical librarian writes or opines a critical piece about what they think about what's going on in our country, we'll bring them up for you to help your judgment and to help your reasoning. One fine day, we all come to our senses. We all will put aside the political sentiment. We all will rally and tell the government, yes, I'm a unity party person. I voted for you, but the way you are proceeding is not good. All right, I agree. I will suffer, but my children may not suffer. Yes, we must come to that conclusion. We come to that realization, to the point where these very exploiters, right, will be paying our national security people, and instead of our national security people providing defense and protection for us, they will be protecting these exploiters to the expense of our lives and our children's life. Look at what happened in King George that Koji has been highlighting recently. That Koji has been highlighting unabated. That which you're going to look at. State security. The people come to our country. They do everything. Then they bribe the very national security turn against their own people. And when citizens stand up for their right, our own brothers open fire. You think the country is running normal? No. You think these brothers really won't be heavy-handed on their own compatriots? No. But listen to this. 2 days ago, Koji responded. But it's important to read what Koji responded to. So it's a 3-way communication. Koji wrote complaining, I read that here, complaining the Liberia National Police to the U.S. Embassy to reconsider support towards the police because of what he presented as evidence of human rights violations and police brutality, and that the purpose of this support to the Liberia National Police is to uphold and defend democratic tendencies and the rule of law. Koji said the police under Gregory Cuomo has deviated that path. And as a national leader, he cannot sit watching that. And we must go to the source. And not only the U.S. Embassy and other partners to rethink. Because these lives that have been lost to police bullets will be on the American taxpayers' dollars. And these people give their money to countries like Liberia to help strengthen democracy. Not to be used as a weapon of murders and violence. So the police responded to that. Let me see if I can get the police response. I've not read that. Then we come to Koji's own response to the police. Then we settle the score and we'll take few calls and hear from you. Right? It is very, very important. This and a lot of you will agree that the way the police has been proceeding for the most part has not been near professional. I know some of our guys wouldn't like to hear it, but this is true. And I've always said that there are very professional people within the police. But again, the head is the head. The head is the head. He gives the instruction. And the rest of the others follow. If you don't want to follow, they silence you. You'll be in the back while they're doing their things. The internet thing giving me a hard time. I don't know. I'm trying to get it thing. So let me just read code you on quickly and see what we try to get. The police thing, I'll get it. All right. But let me. So, a response to the Liberia National Police regarding its April 21, 2026 press release discrediting my communication to the U.S. Embassy on scrutinizing U.S. funding towards LNP and gross human rights violation in Liberia. After a few hectic days on my exam for the past week, I bumped into a press release issued by the Liberia National Police in which the institution is refuting empirical facts I recently unveiled linking to gross human rights violations and misuse of both the Americans and Liberian taxpayers' money. Those who know me beyond everyday politics understands that I am deeply involved in the Liberian reality. I don't observe these issues from a distance. I live them and I carry the weight of what it means to be Liberian. Over time, I have built close relationship with survivors and victims of human rights abuses, and their experiences have become part of my own lived reality. When citizens are brutalized by police officers, tear gassed, or subjected to sexual abuse, they do not become fairy tales to me. They are communicating the inability of the police under Mr. Coleman to save lives and property. My documentation of human rights abuses stems from an acknowledged fact that there are immediate threats and challenges that still exist under Liberia's domestic human rights response mechanism. That is why even officers of the Liberian National Police are found guilty of rape, harassing innocent citizens, and distorting rule of law to favor a class system. Interestingly, Mr. Como argues that my assertions were misleading, yet mayhem was directed against innocent students of the Vanguard Student Unification Party and a cross-section of national civil society activists. They were subsequently tear gassed and wrongfully imprisoned, stripped naked, and tortured for demanding jobs that gives no hope under President Boakai. Dangerously, there was an assassination attempt on the life of a sitting lawmaker, Representative Sa Foko, without any investigative outcome. On February 29, 2024, while executing your bloody onslaught on King George, Grand Cayman County, citizens were shot dead on site for appealing to concession companies to respect their labor values. Liberians were maltreated in police cells that have no decency to human life. In my earlier communication to the U.S. government, I reported 9 unprecedented human rights violations. Additionally, here are some major cases that continue to sit at the apex of impunity under the watch of Mr. Coleman. 1. And he's presenting, cases and instances. So I don't know how the police is going to run away from this. When we sit down here and warn and advise the police, you gotta be careful. Isa Masale and Abraham Kekula shot dead in King George, Grand Cayman County by the Liberian National Police. The link is here. March 24, 2026, senior officer of the Liberian National Police allegedly raped a 24-year-old girl in Mangibi County. March 20, 2026, officer of the Liberian National Police Grand Bassa Detachment was reportedly arrested and handcuffed over allegations of rape. Matthew Morba, a mentally challenged man, was shot several times in the head by officers of the Liberian National Police in Congo Town in 2025. Up to now, no hear, no take. On May 13, 2025, a pregnant Liberian woman was beaten to death by Officer Seyon Wola, also known as Ricky Ross, an officer of the Liberian National Police. These human rights violations I have brought forward are neither misleading nor exaggerated. As suggested by the Liberian National Police, on the contrary, The institution's attempt to dismiss these claims only reinforces the depth of the crisis within its ranks. The pattern of denial, rather than transparent engagement with the facts, raises serious concerns about accountability and the willingness of the LNP leadership to confront systemic failures. At the center of this concern is the leadership of Gregory Cuomo, who has undermined the professional ethics of the police by creating cliques who are now turning the police into state-sanctioned militias, thereby organizing professional police officers with institutional knowledge. Effective law enforcement demands not just authority but responsibility, credibility, and responsiveness to public grievances. When credible allegations of brutality, sexual abuse, and misuse of public resources are met with dismissal instead of decisive action, it signals a breakdown in both leadership and institutional integrity. In light of these concerns, there is a compelling case for the temporary suspension and comprehensive review of both domestic and international funding directed towards the police. Resources provided by Liberian taxpayers and international partners are intended to strengthen public safety, uphold the rule of law, and protect vulnerable populations. When those same resources risk enabling abuse or shielding misconduct, it becomes necessary to pause, reassess, and ensure that every dollar is aligned with public interest and accountability standards. Beyond leadership failures, the everyday experience of citizens further validate these concerns. More troubling, on January 13, 2026, human rights lawyer Councilor Tiawonse Gongolo requested a full disclosure of a DNA finding in which police exonerated Brian McGill for allegedly raping a 15-year-old child. Nearly 4 months later, Mr. Cuomo has failed to disclose publicly the outcome of the DNA. This action of the Liberian National Police is a high-profile case, raises serious doubt about transparency and equal justice. It also shows that Gregory has become more a political tool than a man prepared to advance Liberia's criminal justice system. Such action also points to a deeply entrenched culture of corruption that extends beyond isolated incidents and reflects broader systemic decay. He furthered, ultimately, this is not just about individual misconduct, it is about the credibility of an institution entrusted with protecting the public. Addressing these issues require more than public denial. It demands independent investigation, enforcement of disciplinary measures, institutional reforms, and a renewed commitment to restoring public trust. Until these steps are taken, the gap between the police and the people they serve will only continue to widen. In short, the police must acknowledge this. They owe it to the Liberian people to whom they lie to protect. I'm going to hold it there because of time. It's a very lengthy piece of response to the police denial of claims of human rights abuses, violations of the rights of peaceful people, brutality minted against ordinary citizens that contradict the democratic values for which the police has been financed and sponsored by the taxpayers' money of our country and funding from donor partners. And Koji, the Secretary General of the CDC, is calling for a concerted effort to reassess these fundings and these supports. No time. So we got to go. Time is up. Those who have ears will hear, and those who have eyes will see. But at the end of the day, this is our country. We ought to put for the right things to be done. Folks, fellow Liberian, this is how I like to bring the curtains down on this Wednesday morning edition of the Freedom Money Rise, on Freedom 87.9. We are going to be here tomorrow. And of course, we're going to be looking at other issues in the country. The cry for justice, war crime victims. Is the government playing games with the Liberian people? When the president will make pronouncement, set up an office, and the office is all out there crying and accusing powerful and well-seated elements within the executive of undermining. So where do we stand? What is the commitment of the government to justice, to reparations? Now the arguments of reparations are divided in our country. We see more highlights about the events of April 22. Only matters of the 13 men that were gunned on the beach side. The state seems to be empathetic about providing reparations and providing honor. What about all of our parents that died during the course of the war? What about the ordinary Joe Blow who lost their villages? What's happening for them? Must the state only focus on the 30 men? Is that what you call fairness? Is that what you call justice? Where is Mr. Bwakai in all of this? My name is Abu, and of course, we are going to be here tomorrow to talk this and more. Until we see you, do have yourself a wonderful time. Bye-bye.
Freedom fighter, you destroy our country. They are freedom fighters. Ayo.